I just wanted a ride home. But Elias had other plans. When he turned off the highway and into the deep woods, I realized the GPS wasn't the only thing being ignored. He locked the doors and told me the fare had changed. In the back seat of his black SUV, miles from anyone who could hear me, I had to pay for my ride in private. Now, I can't stop thinking about the long route. Dear listeners, before I began telling this complicated story of my life, I ask you to support my channel. Subscribe, leave a like, and write the comment which city you are listening from. This is very important for us. And now, enjoy listening. We were halfway home when he veered off the main highway. Construction ahead, he muttered, though I hadn't seen any signs. The streetlights disappeared, replaced by the towering, skeletal shadows of the woods. The GPS on the dashboard started rerouting, that frantic, electronic voice telling him to turn back. He reached out and tapped the screen, turning it completely black. I know a faster way, he said. The child locks on the back doors engaged with a heavy, metallic thud. My heart hammered against my ribs. We weren't on a shortcut. We were off the map. He pulled the SUV onto a dirt trail, the gravel crunching under the heavy tires, until we reached a clearing where the trees were so thick they blocked out the moon. He killed the engine. Silence flooded the cabin. He turned around in his seat, resting his arm over the headrest. The app says your ride is $20, he said, his gaze fixed on my throat. But out here, the currency is different. The fare just went up, and I think you know how you're going to pay. 2FTHE climbed into the back seat, the vehicle rocking under his weight. I was pinned against the door, the cold glass of the window, the only thing behind me. He leaned in, his hand gripping my waist with a strength that left no room for argument. Your ride ends when I say it ends, he whispered, his breath hot against my neck. I looked out at the dark woods, realizing no one was coming for me. I wasn't just a passenger anymore. I was his private bonus for the night. This 40-minute section is about the absolute isolation. In the back of that SUV, the world felt like it had shrunk to the size of a leather cabin. The narrator focuses on the primal, no exit nature of the encounter. The sensory details are sharp. The feel of the seatbelt buckle against my hip, the rhythmic sound of his heavy breathing, and the terrifying thrill of being completely at his mercy in the middle of nowhere. He was methodical, claiming his fare with a dominance that made the city girl in me vanish. Keep your eyes on the mirror, he commanded, making me watch the shadow of our movements. By the time the windows had completely fogged over, the ride had become a permanent part of my memory. He didn't wait for me to speak. He claimed my breath before I could even catch it. It wasn't a soft greeting. It was an ultimatum. His mouth was firm, tasting of rain and dark coffee. A deep, possessive pressure that made my world tilt. It was a slow, punishing kiss that traveled from my lips to the sensitive curve of my neck, leaving a trail of fire in its wake. Every time I tried to pull back, his hand tightened on the small of my back, pulling me flush against the rough denim of his jacket. Stay with me, he growled against my skin, his voice a vibration I felt in my bones. You wanted the shortcut, didn't you? This is where the road gets rough. He moved me with an effortless dominance, shifting us until I was draped across the expansive leather seat. The friction of the material, the rhythmic thud-thud of the hazard lights, and the absolute isolation of the woods created a sensory trap. I was drowning in the long route. He was methodical, his hands exploring every boundary Tyler, any other man had ever respected. Don't close your eyes, he commanded, his voice a velvet iron. I want you to see exactly who's taking you home. I watched our blurred reflections in the darkened sunroof, two shadows merging into one as the storm outside raged on. By the time the clock on the dashboard hit 1:40, I wasn't a passenger anymore. I was a part of the machine, a part of the forest, and entirely, irreversibly. The engine turned back over with a roar. Elias climbed back into the driver's seat, adjusting his collar as if we'd just finished a polite conversation. He drove the rest of the way, in total silence, the SUV sliding back onto the paved suburban streets. He pulled up to my driveway, the house lights looking like something from another planet. He reached back and unlocked the door. "Fare paid in full," he said, finally meeting my eyes in the mirror. He handed me his phone. The app was open to the rating screen. "Give me 5 stars, Maya. I'd hate for your account to get flagged." Standing on my porch, watching the black SUV disappear around the corner, I looked at my phone. The ride was over, but my hand was still shaking. I hit the 5-star button, and then I hit favorite driver, because I knew that next time the rain started to fall, I wouldn't be looking for the fastest route home, I'd be looking for the shortcut. A week had passed, but the sound of the child locks clicking still echoed in my dreams. I was at a bar with friends, but I wasn't looking at them. I was looking at the app. I didn't want a random driver, I wanted the black SUV. I waited until 1 a.m., then I sent the request. 3 minutes later, the headlights cut through the rain. Elias was back. I didn't even wait for him to stop. I climbed into the front seat. This time, the smell of clove cigarettes was stronger, and so was the tension. "You're out late, Maya," he said, his voice a low, dangerous purr. He didn't even ask for the destination. He just started driving. But we weren't heading for the suburbs. We were heading toward the industrial docks. A place where the streetlights were broken, and the only witnesses were the shipping containers. "I'm technically off duty now," he murmured, his hand resting on the gear shift, just inches from my knee, "which means this ride is entirely off the record." He pulled up to a corrugated metal building with a rusted "No Trespassing" sign. He hit a remote on his visor, and the heavy garage door groaned open. The space was filled with the smell of motor oil, tires, and gasoline. He pulled the SUV inside. And killed the lights. The only glow came from a single flickering neon sign in the corner. "This is where the drivers come to unwind," he said, stepping out of the car. He walked around to my side and opened the door, his shadow towering over me. He didn't take me to the back seat this time. He lifted me onto the warm, ticking hood of the SUV. The metal felt alive beneath me. He pinned my wrists against the windshield, his eyes darker than the garage. "You requested me, specifically, Maya. That means you're not just a passenger anymore. You're irregular." He leaned in, his mouth grazing my ear. "And regulars get the extended service." I looked at our reflection in the dark glass of the windshield. I had walked right into his trap, and I never wanted to leave. In the solitude of the garage, the power dynamic reached a fever pitch. The narrator focuses on the industrial, raw nature of the encounter. The sensory details are sharp. The oil-stained floor, the heat of the engine block through the hood, and the absolute strength of Elias's grip. He was teaching me that my 5-star rating had earned me a place in his private world. "Don't blink," he commanded, making me watch the way the neon light caught the sweat on his brow. The narrator describes the sensation of being serviced in a place meant for machines. By the time the neon sign flickered out, I was a trembling part of the garage's history. The garage door groaned open, letting in the gray light of pre-dawn. Elias drove me back to my apartment, the SUV purring like a satisfied predator. He didn't pull into the driveway this time. He stopped at the corner. He handed me a physical key, heavy, and made of brass. "That's for the side door of the garage," he said, his voice as professional as a contract. "When you're tired of the city, when you're tired of being safe, you know where to go. No app required." The story ends with me standing on the sidewalk, the brass key heavy in my pocket. I watched the black SUV disappear into the morning fog. I looked at the app on my phone and deleted it. I didn't need a rideshare anymore. I had a destination.